So I guess the million-dollar question is, what do you think that they were consuming at Eleusis?
Wow. Let's see. I think that the best case that can be made is actually for opium. I think that there is far more evidence for opium than there is for ergot at Eleusis. I would rather they were drinking ergot. I'm Greek. I would love to be able to say, my Grecian ancestors were taking this, primitive form of LSD. But the truth is, there really isn't much evidence at all for ergot at Eleusis. I love Brian's book. It's a great book. I mean, I think everybody should read it. But I felt like maybe he's saving like the really crunchy and juicy stuff for another book. But I didn't hear a good solid case for ergot at Eleusis. He made a great case for ergot at Catalonia, as I was saying earlier, and he makes an excellent, like one of the best cases for just psychedelic beers in general in the ancient world. But when we zoom in on Eleusis and look at what's been left behind, like the relics and the writing, I mean, opium is all over the place. I mean, you have carvings of Persephone rising from the dead that she's holding in her hands wheat stalks, snakes, and opium. You had the poet Theocritus saying that to the Greeks, Demeter, Persephone's mother, was always an opium goddess. There was actually a Christian who took part, I think, don't quote me on this. I think it was Clement of Alexandria, but I'm not 100% sure. I don't quite remember. But he also said that opium was present in the rites. And then we have these large reliefs that show opium flowers, wheat, and what looks like a mixing vat. And so I'm not saying that opium was in the Kykeon, or as Brian would say, the Kykeon. I'm not saying it was, but I am saying that if something was in the Kykeon, like an entheogen of some kind, you can make a much better case for opium than you can for ergot, at least based on what's left to us. I could be totally wrong about this. I mean, there could be a smoking gun waiting somewhere in the ruins of the Telesterion, in Athens, like, there's the ergot. And then I will be the first person screaming it from every rooftop from sea to shining sea. They were using ergot at Eleusis. Brian was right. Brian was right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great attitude that, you don't identify with any one of these theories. Like, if you're shown new evidence, you change your beliefs. I think that's what science is all about. I think we want to believe that they were doing something at Eleusis that we associate with like enlightenment, because that place is associated with greatest thinkers like Aristotle, Plato, even Marcus Aurelius. Romans came as tourists and did that initiation, and they supposedly came out these much more enlightened people. They died before they died.
So that they wouldn't die when they died.
Correct. And so I guess when you say it's opium, I'm like, I never thought of opium as being this enlightening tool. I've never done it. Could it do that?
So I think that within the right ritualistic context, yes, it can. One of the things about sort of the plant medicines of the ancient world, they didn't have access to peyote or ayahuasca or anything like that. But what they did have was a lot of cannabis, opium, mandrake, and henbane. And when you mix those plant medicines with deep ritual or magical work, I mean, I do it all the time, you can absolutely have an entheogenic experience with them. And to your point about the ancient Greeks, like, that's sort of the whole... It gets murky because, like, today we have like an opioid crisis, right? So of course the ancient Greeks wouldn't use opium because look at all the problems it's causing today. Oh, no. Different time, different place, different society. I mean, the ancient Greeks didn't even have a word for drug addict or alcoholic. They didn't have words for that. So we sort of, what we do sometimes, and that's what historians train to do, it's called an anachronism, when we throw a modern idea onto the past.
Which happens a lot.
Yeah, and we all do that. Everybody does that. And with ergot, it could be that what we're doing is throwing our modern desires, say, well, LSD can be so enlightening. Obviously it is, for me, for you, for the kinds of people we hang out with, LSD is really enlightening. So of course the ancient Greeks must have been doing that, but you have to take each culture in its own time and place. And our modern rules seldom apply when we're talking about the ancient world. And the short of it is, yes, the ancient Greeks absolutely could have found enlightenment through opium. And I say that because we know that the Minoans were, because we have a little statuette of this goddess. It was an opium goddess, and it was found next to this vase in this cave in Gazi in Crete, the island of Crete. And this vase they found was actually used for ingesting opium in some way. So you have this opium statue with this goddess. You have this way of it imbibing opium somehow. And those people were probably having what we would call an entheogenic experience. And it's that practice that I believe, and I can't be sure, made its way north to Athens and became the Rites of Eleusis. So we know that at least the Minoans could find enlightenment through opium and rituals. So if they could, why not the Greeks? And I mean, the Egyptians did as well. So, they would, you go to a healing temple and you would take, an opium drink or something and have a vision of Isis healing you. That all to me, it's medicinal, but it's entheogenic. And in the ancient world, magic, medicine, religion, it was all the same thing. We separate them today, but in the ancient world, it was all the same.